What's up, everyone? Ben here from the Diamond Geezers, your gangrene geezer. This video, hopefully it won't be a long video, not really a lot to talk about. I'll quickly cover the game they just had against the Patriots, talk briefly about the upcoming game against Buffalo, but really what I want to focus on for this video is all the chatter that's been happening over this past week about the firing or potential firing or wanting to fire Aaron Glenn. Game against New England, as I predicted but didn't hope for, they got boat raced. Right out of that game, over quickly, over early. Not surprising, especially where both teams are at this point in the season and their development. And I expect more of the same tomorrow against the Bills, who are playing for seeding. That game I expect will be over early, especially with the Jets not playing all of their guys. Brees, it sounds like he's not going. No reason to really push these guys at all. You're not playing for anything. You want to get as high a pick as possible. So not really much going on there. The talk all week has been about fire Glenn, fire Glenn, fire Glenn. He's got to go. It's non-competitive. My opinion, and I'll say this because no one else has said it yet. All these people have been, only one person put at least an alternative to, if you fire Glenn, hire X person. And that was Carton. Craig Carton said, you fire Glenn, hire Bill Belichick. That was his suggestion. And he actually at the time listed a bunch of reasons as to why hiring Belichick would be a bad idea, but do it anyway. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Makes no sense. At least he had the guts to put a name to something. Not what most people I've been hearing. What they have to find is this dynamic, young, offensive-minded coordinator who could take a young quarterback and blah, 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 blah. Who's the guy? You can't just make somebody up. I know there's AI now in the world. We can create whatever the hell you want. You just can't create that guy. Who is that guy? Because from everything I've read, all of the coaches for this upcoming coaching cycle that are the hot coaches, they're all defensive-minded coaches. So who is this? Is it like a Ben Johnson type? Okay. Who is he? Where is he? If you show me that guy and tell me that's the guy I want to get and get rid of Glenn, I'll listen to you. For me, the only way I fire Glenn is if you tell me that the loser of the Pittsburgh-Baltimore game tomorrow, the head coach, whether it be Tomlin or Harbaugh, whoever loses that game and gets bumped, is going to be let go, and you're saying to me, hey, Vin, Glenn is out, this Harbaugh or Tomlin is in. Not we think or we hope. For sure, we fire him, one of these two is in. I'm on board with that. I'm sorry. I don't want Glenn to get fired, but if you're telling me I get a shot at one of those two guys to replace Glenn, I do it immediately. Immediately. Fire them, hire them. Only if that's the case. Short of that, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear shit about what this team has looked like over the last month, what this team has looked like all season. What did we realistically expect? Vegas had this team as a 5.5. I believe they pegged them the over-under at 5.5 wins. 5.5. And that was with a fully healthy pre-trade roster. They had them at 5.5. They're going to wind up with 3. Barring some unforeseen circumstance, they're going to wind up with 3 wins. Close to the over-under. But when you think about it, the team won 5 games last year with a far superior quarterback in Rodgers over what they have now. Much better pieces around on both sides of the ball. And arguably better coaching because you didn't have a bunch of first-year coaches dealing with that team. And that team only won 5 games. So you come into this season, you have far weaker at your quarterback position. You have mostly first-year coaches, except for Wilkes. And Wilkes, and I've said this, totally falls on Aaron Glenn. You hire the defensive coordinator who his scheme doesn't fit the players you inherited. So we already saw it in San Francisco. It happened in San Francisco. He came in after Saleh was hired. Tried to put his scheme in with Saleh's players, didn't fit. Off defense didn't look great, regardless of how they finished. Didn't rank well. What can you expect when you did? You should have expected the same, and that falls totally on Glenn. If you want to say a little bit on Muji, fine, but I'm going to lay that on Glenn. You had to see that. You had to know that the players that you have. That's why I think you saw a lot of the trades, getting Briggs, getting Phillips, getting Brownlee, drafting Malachi Moore, who's a bit of a thumper. These guys fit more of what Wilkes was trying to do, but you don't have enough of them. So you have a team that is weaker at quarterback, a defensive scheme that doesn't fit the players you have, and then you trade your two top defensive players away. The people who are replacing them, for the most part, are getting hurt. AZ Thomas gets hurt, so now you're playing UDFAs all over the place. You got the two Clarks in the back end. You got Stiggers. Your quarterback now is a UDFA. You lost Wilson weeks ago, so you've had a weakened roster that was at best projected to get 5 to 6 wins, and they were competitive earlier in the season when the roster was healthier and pre-trades. They were competitive in the early Pittsburgh game, competitive in the Denver game, competitive in the Tampa game. They were even competitive in the first New England game and the Baltimore game. But with the trades and the injuries all around on both sides of the ball, now you're starting to face better competition over the last month. Then will catch up to you, which it caught up to them, and it caught up to them in a big way. Yes, I know people, they gave up the most point, the biggest point differential in the month of December in history, which is true. They do. And it was by a point. I forgot who the team was. They gave up, I think their point differential was 107. Someone else was 106. And there were other teams close to that in history. But this is a team currently and a roster, and they can't tell us what we're seeing. They have to play it a certain way. They can't tell us. I think in the beginning of the season, regardless of what Glenn said, he knew, and Muji knew, this is not going to be a great year. We'll fight. We'll compete. We expect to win. What else are you going to say? What are you going to say to the fan base that hasn't made the playoffs in 14 years, now 15 years? What do you tell that fan base? Yep, we're going to suck it up in 25. We may not be great in 26, but we're going to build for 27. You'll be crucified from day one and every day going forward from that point. You can't say that. So stop saying he said this. Yeah, it's easy to say it because he did say it, so it's easy to just say, oh, he said it, but what do you expect him to say? If he came in and said what the truth is, which is this team's going to stink pretty much in 26. We'll try to compete, but we're going to stink. Then we're going to tear it down, which is what your eyes are they're showing you what their plan is. So if you're believing what your eyes are seeing, you see trading Sauce, trading Quinnen. Your quarterback already was horrendous coming in to the start of the season. Bringing in signing young guys to short contracts in the offseason. No long-term deals. What was that telling you? We want flexibility in 26 and 27 and going forward to bring in the guys we want for the system we want to have and the foundation we want to run. But you can't say that. And I'm going to view it from an optimistic point of view because who the hell wants to live in a glass half full world? That sucks. Or half empty, whatever the hell it is. Who gives a shit? I'm pissed off right now because all of these talking heads, again, the ones that get paid to cover them and the ones that speak about them like I do, all are saying pretty much the same thing. Fire Glenn, he's got to go, but they give you no fucking alternative as to who should be the guy to replace him. At least I came forward and said, if one of these two guys is available, do that. Short of that, he should stay. Carton at least he put a name to get this guy, fire him, go get someone else. At least he put a name to it. Everybody else is just sitting there saying he's got to go, but they're giving you no alternative as to who you should hire except this made-up person that right now doesn't exist. So if that's all you're bringing to the table, you're bringing nothing to the table as usual. Just empty air and noise. That's all I hear, and that's all I've seen for the past week, maybe now the past few weeks. I like the attitude that Glenn has brought watching him on the sideline. We all saw Saleh over the last few years, especially when it started getting worse. He had that deer in the headlight look. At least you see Glenn trying to be CEO, talking to the office, talking to people. But look, at the end of the day, he knows it. He knows that this is not the squad that's going to get me anywhere. This is not it. They haven't made. Is there a move you've seen them make for the 2025 season that would have told you we should have been competing in 2025? Nope. All of our predictions, mine included, in the preseason of any type of success was looking through green-colored glasses. That's it. If you look at it realistically, this was a bad roster last year that got worse. Vegas has it right. There's a reason they have all the big buildings and all the money in that city. It's because they get it right. 5.5 was the over-under. Yeah, if the over-under would have been 7, 8, 9 or more, and they're 3-14, absolutely. Maybe he's got to go. You can't. You obviously, somebody saw that you had a better team, or the experts saw that you had a better team. You had a good roster. You should have been much better, and you completely flopped. That's not what happened. That's not what happened. The only thing that's true is they completely flopped. But in reality, we should not expected anything more than what we're getting. Tell me, they were and early, like I said, early in the season, they were competitive in numerous games. You're just going to take the last month, and over the last month, while it should be getting better as the season goes on. Why? Yes, if I have my players that I want in my system and my quarterback, and it's not getting better, I give it to you. That's a problem. But it's tearing it down as the season has gone on with trades, and then further it's falling apart through injury. So you had a bad roster coming in that you then further depleted with trades and has been further depleted with injuries. What are you expecting? What realistically were you expecting? I said it last week, this team, I wanted them to compete. And look, when I watched it, I didn't get an impression that anybody was making business decisions or they were quitting. I didn't get that feeling. You're just watching it thinking, you're not good enough. You do not have enough talent to hang with this team. Period. And stop talking to me about Will McDonald and Johnson. If the other team is rolling you and you can't put, there's nothing all right, we're up big. We're just going to run the ball. We'll just do quick outs. Nobody in that defensive backfield can cover, because I've never seen so many people running wide open in my life. But the reason that it's you have a bad scheme and you don't have the talent. That's a bad mix, and you're seeing the results of that. And I applaud that SNY, Gell, Bart Scott, Willie Colon, Connor Rogers. I applaud them because you see it in their faces. My God, if for year after year, forget game after game for them, year after year, they're sitting through it and have to talk about it just like the rest of us. And it's the same old story. The only hope I'm bringing right now to this is from the moves that I've seen them make in a draft, in a free agency, and via trades. It seems like there is an idea. They have a plan as to what they're doing. I don't mind that they didn't come out and say, yeah, we're going to suck and we might even suck again. Not so bad, but we're still not going to make the playoffs in 2026. You can't say that, because when you're not successful all these years, nobody wants to hear it. So you have to say what you have to say. But next year, people are going to, if he's still here, barring any unforeseen circumstance, if he is still here, there has to be progress, because you have a boatload of cap space and you have a plethora of picks that you better put this team. This team cannot nearly, and you can, and the injured players will now be back. You'll have Garrett Wilson. You're either going to sign or draft a number 2. You might sign or draft. You might sign one and draft one, so that now you have your 1, 2, 3, and Mechie and Mitchell become your 4 and 5, and not your 3 and 4, which deepens that room. You got Mason Taylor, Ruckert. You have Braylon Allen coming back. Isaiah Davis. Who knows if they'll bring Breece Hall back or not. You have what looks like the beginnings of a strong offensive line, but you'll have money to spend if you want to get a center or another guard. Maybe you bring back AVT on a prove-it contract. The picks and the resources are going to have to go on the defensive side of the ball. Briggs looks like a good get. Phillips looks like a good get. Brownlee before the injury looks like a good get. Moore looks like a good get. Stevens, he shows he could be a number 2. I don't think he's a number 1 CB1. It's got to be a CB2. Can you find one in the offseason? Can you find one in the draft? We'll see. But they have the money and the draft picks to start to really turn this ship faster than expected. Now, they may not make the playoffs next year, but if we see, okay, this team, maybe you get your quarterback of the future in this draft. My personal opinion, any quarterback you draft in this draft, because that's another thing. Package all these picks to move up for Fernando Mendoza, who all the experts are saying would not be picked over any of the top quarterbacks over the last 5 drafts. 5 drafts. Remember who was in the last 5 drafts. Jet fans remember it very, very well. If he wouldn't be better than any of those guys talent-wise coming out, any of the top quarterbacks in those drafts, why are we now going to pay a premium to move up and get a guy who is this ceiling Jared Goff? Is it Matt Ryan? I don't know. But I don't think there should be a reach for a guy or give up a lot for a guy whose ceiling is not supposed to be, or at least is being predicted to be, very good. Not great, not, transformational, to the offense, just very good, which is better than dog shit, obviously, which is what we have now. It'll be very good. But is that where we are, that we pay a premium for very good? I don't think so. Any quarterback they draft, especially if it's a younger quarterback who's might be more developmental, you have to sign a bridge quarterback. I don't know who they are yet, Mariota, Malik Willis, whoever it might be, where this person's going to sit for at least a year, most likely 2 years. And for all of you people saying, you can't draft a quarterback and we're sitting for 2 years, Aaron Rodgers sat for 3 years before he played. Mahomes sat for a year. Give me a break. Why? Because you think that's the savior. Do it right. If a Dante Moore comes out and that's who you pick, I think he's 20 years old. He'll be 21. But if he sits for a couple of years, he'll still be 20, and he can develop further. He'll still be 23. And guess what? That could be your plan. But within that window, if he is showing you on the field and in practices during the week that he's the guy and it accelerates the clock and the timetable, then so be it, man. So be it. You don't have to be, just because someone says 2 years. It's like every time if you say something, it's like it's etched in stone. No, it's not etched in stone. It's an Etch-a-Sketch. Shake that shit up and write another plan. That's how it works. That's how things work. Nothing's set in stone. Everything's fluid. Every situation's fluid. You're judging people week to week. It's fluid. So but you have to have a plan. You have to say, this is how we're going to go about doing this. And you have to be able to deviate from that plan when circumstances present themselves one way or the other. Either somebody shows that they're ready, you move up the timetable. People show they're not, you move it back, or you got to get rid of them and find somebody else to do the job. But I think Glenn, like I said, barring any unforeseen circumstance of somebody becoming available that is not currently available, he'll be back next year. But I think that you have to see progress on the field, tangible. I don't want to hear what we see during the week, what I see in the locker room. Good. It has to be shown on the field. You'll have to show ownership and your fan base, if you're back next year, that, yep, see, the plan is working. We now got in a bunch of players that fit the scheme we're trying to have. Defensive coordinator, that's going to be a key hire. Can he use some of the players they have now? Or are you really going to have to flip and turn over this whole defense, or a large portion of this defense, because someone's going to come in and their scheme, the players you currently have, don't fit that scheme? And usually, my opinion, the sign of good coaching is, you know what? I may have this scheme, but let me tweak it I can tweak it based on the talent I have. If your scheme is so rigid that it only could be played with certain players in a certain way, and you have no room to deviate from it or adjust based on what the other team is throwing at you, I always had a problem with that. I love when you see the offensive coordinators or the defensive coordinators who there's a system and they'll game plan you from week to week within that system with the players they have. It's not, well, this is with Saleh. Sauce plays this side of the field. We're not going to have him follow the other team's best wide receiver, He plays his side, that's his side. If the guy lines up on his side, he'll cover him. If he's on the other side of the field, someone else covers him. What kind of stupid shit is that? Revis used to follow the best guy around. If Sauce was your Revis, then he follows the best guy. Whoever that is takes him out of the game. Simple, right? But no, they were so rigid, they didn't do that. To the angst of every fan watching it saying, yeah, of course nobody's throwing the Sauce's side because they're cooking the other side. So why do I have to throw it that way? So it looks good that he's not giving up a lot of yards or a lot of catches because nobody's throwing his way. It's not because they're afraid. It's because they're already cooking on the other side. Who gives a shit? Nothing's happening over here. We're killing them on this side. Keep it going. So that's going to be a key hire, but next year will be a key year. Like I said, they have the money and the picks to start turning this a lot faster. It shouldn't be at a glacial pace. It should be a lot faster with the resources you'll have, especially over the next 2 seasons. There'll be even more money in 2027 because Rodgers, and I'm assuming Fields will get cut this offseason. Will they take his whole cap hit in 2026, which I think would be $22 million, or will they split it over 26 and 27 by designating him a post-June 1st cut? It remains to be seen. But if they take the whole hit in 26, that means his money and Rodgers' money will be completely off when 2027 comes, which I think they projected. The last I saw was almost, I don't know if it was $200 million adjusting for available money plus the cap going up. They may have $200 million in available money in 2027. So that's just the way it is. You have enough, and you have enough picks over these next 2 years to turn this around a lot faster than you're saying. I know they don't want to say that because once you say it, especially with the people covering you, again, they etch it in stone and they clob you over the head with it if you don't, do it the way you said you would. Just maybe he has to learn how to deal with the media better, speak a little better, to not box himself so much into a corner. But if I'm him, hey man, we have a plan. We know what we're trying to do. It's fluid. My words aren't etched in stone. Things change based on circumstances changing. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. Just say it. And if people want to bitch, let them bitch. They're going to bitch no matter what. So just tell them how it is and end it. And then give them nowhere to go. Cut them off at the legs. Good. Oh, you said this. Yeah, I said it was fluid. I said it. You know, this is what our plan was, but now this happened, so I had to adjust. This guy got hurt. This guy showed he wasn't ready. This guy showed he was now ready. So we adjust as we see fit, not as you see fit, sitting there covering me. Because as soon as you try to please the fans, you'll be sitting with them. You'll be sitting with them. That's just the way it is. So again, if you're going to be out there as someone who's a content creator or actually getting paid to cover the team, if you want them fired, do two things. Put your name on it and tell me who would you put or hire if you got rid of him. And if you're not going to do that, or you're going to make up a person that it has to be someone who fits this criteria when that person currently doesn't exist, that's bullshit. That it's very easy to complain or be part of the problem. It's not. It's a lot harder to be part of the solution. But it's a lot more fun to be part of the solution, as far as I'm concerned. And it's fun for me to tear apart the people who are just part of the problem. And with that, I'm going to end this episode. I thank everybody for liking and subscribing. I will have a follow-up video after tomorrow's debacle. Till next time, take it easy, everyone.